And we are back, and we just finished watching 1967's Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, a film directed by Stanley Kramer and written by William Rose. Such an amazing departure from a movie that we'd seen recently, Reminiscence, that had really bad script writing, and this is just the complete opposite of that.
Yeah, the writing on this is sharp as hell.
Yeah, for a movie that was made in 1967, that's 54 years now.
How long ago was this film?
67.
67? So, yeah.
54 years. Wow.
Damn.
53, 54, something like that.
I guess
It's over
more.
50 years.
I think it's
No,
was it
50s.
67. It's
been a while.
It's 50 some odd years.
Yeah. So
We're terrible at math.
we're
here.
very bad at math.
If you give me a piece
However,
of paper, I can do it.
That's okay. However, don't let that deter you from trying to seek this one out. This one, top to bottom, just top notch everything. Just the acting, the script, the direction. I really, I'd seen this movie a long time ago, and I'd been waiting for it to see it on some of the streaming services, and it wasn't on for a very long time, but we just happened to catch it now. And it just did not disappoint. Just lovely, from such a lovely journey from where it starts to where it ends. We are introduced to the Drayton family, and the daughter is coming back from a trip, and she's bringing a surprise guest home with her,
Which is her fiance.
which is her fiance.
Who she just met 10 days prior.
Which,
That's
yes, my
probably-
husband could not get over
Yeah, that's
that.
probably the
and
only,
that.
like,
But in
Bad part of the movie. They
But
met
in the
10
defense
days
of the
and
times,
got
this is
engaged.
just how it was in the 60s. You basically were married after 2 dates. And I think if you were living during, like, one of the world wars, World War I or World
but
War
this
II,
is-
you sort of got married,
But
like,
this
off
is
the fly.
this is 20 years later. This is almost the 70s when this is going on. Even for that time period, this was quick.
that's how it was.
This isn't like the 40s or the 30s or something. Even my parents dated for like a year or so before they got married. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
When did they get married?
In
the 60s, obviously.
Early mid 60s, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they were kids of the 50s.
Right.
They were dating in the 50s and
Right.
they got married in the 60s.
But they had that mentality.
Like,
They were going to wind up together and be married to each other forever.
I guess, yeah.
So,
But anyway.
But anyway.
We're losing the focus
We're
here.
losing the focus.
The big thing about this movie is that the daughter comes home, introduces her fiance, and it's a black guy. And that was like, this is like the beginning of the heart of the middle of the whole civil rights movement.
Yeah, early.
So
yeah.
and like on a lot of like they even make note of it in the movie that in a lot of states that would be completely illegal, like straight up against the law. And these, even though what's her name, Joey,
Chris. Oh, Joey's the daughter,
Joey's the daughter,
Joanna.
yeah, even though her parents are San Francisco liberal leaning,
Yeah, Matt.
even they are taken aback and sort of like forced to confront. And I like how the Monsignor stated it. They had there are these, like I said, San Francisco liberals, but deep inside there's this reactionary little bigot inside of them who's just like
waiting to come out,
frothing at them like, what the hell's going on here? But for me, because now this is 2020, the
2021.
2021.
Let's
It's
not
already,
relive
it's already
2020.
August.
The
You
big,
have
the
no
big.
reason
I'm just
to-
talking about general time periods. 2020s. We're in the 2020s. The big thing for me wasn't really the race issue. It's been a goddamn week. You don't get married after a week. Come on. But like you were saying, it was a little different back then. People were more quick to pull the trigger, I guess.
Sure. But besides all of that, I know that was your big main complaint as a dad. I'm sure
Yeah.
if one of your daughters came home after a week and was like, Dad, I love him, you would be like, absolutely not.
It wouldn't be me.
It wouldn't be you for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I would have been more focused on the whole race issue if it weren't for the time issue. Like even if it was like a month or a couple of months, give me something to work with. But a week, come on, get the hell out of here.
All right, fair enough.
Of course, the parents are gonna be pissed.
Yes. But I think the nice thing about this movie is that it came out in a time where these are some really timely issues. All of the actors did such a phenomenal job inhabiting these characters and bringing them to life. Kudos to everyone on this production. It was just amazing to watch. And it's just so funny because, again, I hadn't seen it in a really, really long time, but it totally still resonates. And even though we've moved a little bit forward, we still are mired in a lot of racism, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a little of that, a lot of the little tiny reactionary bigots deep inside our liberal hearts. Sometimes, you know, it's not gonna go away for a long time, and he's smaller now,
but he's still there. But I was gonna say that the interesting thing would be that even in 2021. These conversations still may be had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm sure there are parents out there that, if this impacted them,
Are racist.
Well, not just racism, but just they.
Well, I mean,
wouldn't be comfortable with this. They wouldn't be happy about it.
Something would twinge inside of them, and you could see that happening. It's definitely not as prevalent now as it once was.
Right.
I don't think there's any states that make that illegal anymore.
I don't know. I mean, we still have sundown towns.
But that's like a traditional thing. It's not like law.
That's not a tradition to maintain.
You can't legally have a sundown town now.
I'm pretty sure there are still some.
I'm not saying that something like that doesn't exist. There are a lot of tiny towns that are really remote. It's a big country, a lot of space between towns. I'm sure there are some towns out there that are maintaining that tradition, but if they were to go to court, they're not going to be able to. I don't even think they would have a lawyer come up and be like, well, we got to maintain these traditions in the town. You know, it's really important. Any court would just be like, are you insane?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
Put that bigot away.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna go around the table and get impressions. G, what did you think of the movie?
I like this movie. It wasn't bad.
Did you have a favorite character?
No.
Did you have a favorite scene?
Maybe when his parents see the Joanna's
the dad's face was pretty hilarious. Mr. Prentice.
Mr. Prentice is
the older Mr. Prentice.
Yeah. He was when they meet.
He was catching flies.
When they meet Sidney Poitier's parents at the airport. Oh my God, his face was just like jaw literally dropped. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in that time, that was a big deal. Yeah. That was absolutely a big deal
for blacks and whites. I mean, Jesus, Tilly. Oh
she was God. That speech where she
was really against that.
Yeah.
She was like the most racist one in the entire house, and like it wasn't even like she was racist. It was like she was racist against black people, and she was black. And oh my God, she gave him a mouthful. Like she got him by himself, and she was just like, "I know what you're doing."
She barged in while he was naked. That was so uncomfortable.
Well, he was shirtless. He wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't naked, but yeah. Oh. I mean, I don't even think she knocked.
She did.
No,
she did not.
She just ran in the room.
She walked in and was just. She read him the riot act. You know.
I love Isabel Sanford.
Yeah, she was the least happy out of all of them.
Out of all of them, right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but those people existed and probably still exist. They're brought up a certain way, and that's just the way it is. Yeah. I mean, to have kind of like this trailblazing. I mean, we haven't seen this together, but I've seen pieces of that Loving movie with Joel Edgerton and Ruth Negga.
Yeah,
and that is heartbreaking too, because like they had to go to court to be legally married.
Yeah,
you had to fight for your love. That's so crazy to me. I mean, it's interesting because yes, do these issues still exist? For sure, for sure. There are still tons of bigoted people. There's still tons of racism. We have come a long way from where we were, but there's still obviously more work to be done. It's great though because these are the trailblazers. I mean, I know they're fictional characters, but people like that do exist in the real world, and for them to make that stand to say, I deserve to be happy, I deserve to be with someone that I love, and to not bow to that pressure.
Yeah,
and trailblaze.
Yeah, and to be brave enough to do it. I mean, God loves Spencer Tracy. He can give a goddamn good speech. Seriously,
this is another one,
this
right?
was another one, just like Inherit the Wind. This one, he gives a great speech at the end, and he basically like says it. He says they're gonna have tough times ahead of them. Their lives for the rest of their lives, they may be a living hell,
right?
But their love will carry them through. And it's true. I mean, for those first people who decided, fudge all them people. We love each other, and that's it. We're gonna have kids, interracial kids. Back then, that was like, oh my God, you're cursed. I mean, there's a lot of movies about that too.
Oh my gosh,
where somebody's trying to hide their heritage and whatnot.
Imitation of Life. We gotta watch that with the kids.
Yeah,
that's so bananas. The Sirk version. I mean, that movie's been done a couple of times, but the Douglas Sirk version, that's crazy. I love that. Oh my God, I gotta find that now.
But thank God for those people who stood up.
Yeah.
And decided, all right, this
ends here.
This is going to be a tough fight, but we're fighting it.
Awesome. Olive G, what did you think of this movie?
I wasn't really interested in it. I just painted my nails one time.
Yes, I understand that this is mostly dialogue driven. This is definitely not for a younger crowd, I guess.
Not in that it's inappropriate, just in the fact that it's a lot of talking heads.
A lot of talking heads.
There's just people sitting down, different, okay, I'm going to talk with you now. Now these two are going to pair off and
conversation
talk.
Here, conversation there.
There's not much for a 9-year-old to grab onto. I mean, nobody's farting. Nobody's falling down a flight of stairs with their
There's
pants
no
around
silliness.
their ankles or anything like that.
Yeah, this is just a straight up serious kind of family drama.
Yeah.
What did you think? This is your first time watching it, start to finish?
First time I've seen it start to finish. Like I said, I knew what the subject matter was about. I just never watched the movie.
What did you think?
I thought this was great. I love this movie. I'm seriously, Spencer Tracy can pretty much do no wrong. He's
just
great.
amazing.
Everything he says just sounds so earnest.
And there's scenes where there's close-ups of his face, and I was just like, God, his face is just... It's so expressive and lovely and just lined and genuine.
Has he ever been in a movie where he was a bad guy? Because I don't think I
can
hate him.
I don't think so. You know what? We should look at his IMDb page later. Yeah, I don't think he's ever been a bad. Maybe, but I don't think so. I mean, he's always like the good guy, the
straight shooter,
the straight shooter,
who's telling you how the world should be, even though it's not.
Yeah, not like that Ray Winston and Black Widow.
Oh God, he was scum.
Yeah, Matt is not that in this movie. He is a concerned father who is kind of caught off guard, and you have to make allowances. I mean, I think that it's interesting. You brought up that's the point that the Monsignor makes about the closeted bigot in his little heart, but I sometimes I wonder too if it's not just the father talking. I mean, when he's in the bedroom with Matt and Mike and they're talking and he's like, listen, unless you've been a father, you don't know how I feel. And I think the Matt character was more driven by that. I mean, I think he was caught off guard that Joey brought home a black man, but I don't think in his mind, I think the bigger issue was what the future is going to be for the two of them.
Yeah, I never felt that he thought of him as being less than.
Right.
Like even Tilly actually says something to that point. Like she is so indoctrinated in the way.
Right.
Like she actually says, don't go thinking you're better than us.
Mm-hmm.
That you're, and it's just like that line sort of raised an eyebrow in me because Tilly is completely indoctrinated into believing that she is not as good as the
Right,
people
she's
that
inferior.
she works for.
Yeah. And it was nice towards the end when he brings her, when Matt brings her in, and he's like, "You've been part of this family for 22 years," so they see her as a human being. I mean, maybe she doesn't feel that way, but
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, they still order her around quite a bit.
yes. I mean, she is the help, I
But
guess.
then again, she's not really being the most helpful person in the house at that particular point in time. So you could see them being a little kind of. So, I mean, yeah, this whole thing I think put a strain on their relationship.
I'm sure it all will be
But
forgiven.
As far as the father, Matt. As far as Matt goes, I never got the impression that he viewed Sidney Poitier as being less than or anything like that. He was seriously just concerned about what was going to happen.
Right. I think that was his main concern. I mean, even in the beginning.
How society would react to this. Also, along with my argument,
Right.
Jesus Christ, it's 10 days.
Right.
man.
Yes, he mentions, like, we don't even know this person.
They say quite a bit. I wish
Yeah.
there was more time. I
Yeah.
wish there was more time. But there's just like this weird deadline that they've put up. Oh, we're getting married in a week in Geneva.
Well, the other interesting thing, and I think you brought this up offline, was the Joey character. How she's been, yes, she was raised by these liberal parents, but she was almost been insulated in this bubble. So she has this completely crazy view of the world, which isn't very realistic.
Yeah, it's a kind of unrealistic view of the world. Also,
She's more positive about the world than she.
Yeah, maybe she was raised in such a way that she's so positive, but she's very. I don't feel that she sees how anything is going to affect other people at all.
Right.
I mean, not that, she should care if people are upset that, oh my God, she's marrying a black dude or something like that. But the fact that this is going to, I guess, affect her parents in such a way.
Affect his parents.
She is just living like
in a bubble, yeah.
She's sort of living in a bubble, and I feel like throughout the entire film, the situation doesn't really register that strongly with her. Mm-hmm. It's almost.
Well, I said, like, my impression of her was like she's the character with the horseshoe up her ass. Like, everything goes her way. She doesn't really stress out about anything. She doesn't
look like the type of.
No, she's a daughter of privilege. She was brought up in that fabulous house that has got to be worth at least $8 to $12 million now. At least, maybe more.
Oh, their house.
Probably
their house
more.
is
Probably
gorgeous.
more. Yeah.
But yeah, she is just sort of. She's almost played in a flighty manner.
Yes, I could see that.
Yeah.
To me, she felt like the least developed character, and
Kind of unlikable.
yeah, like especially somebody like that, I couldn't imagine somebody falling in love with that.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's no
intelligent,
there's no
accomplished man.
We weren't privileged to their entire 10 days in Hawaii. Maybe they spoke about things and had tons of stuff in common. But to me, she just seemed like, that's how her character was throughout the entire movie. And there was very little range to her character at all. She was just sort of like on, and that was it.
Right.
Just, oh, this is great. Oh my God, we got to do this. We got to do this.
Right,
We got to
right,
do this.
right.
This is how it's going to be. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And it was
Although
just, come on, let somebody get some words in and
Yes, she
like,
was very
listen.
strong-willed. I mean, maybe that's what happens when you're an only child of privilege. I don't know.
Maybe.
And the
that
other
is true. She was an only child. So.
Right. The other thing that I thought was interesting, though, even though she had like this abundance of self-esteem, there was a line. I don't know if you caught it. It was, I think, when they were. Oh, I forgot. She was in a car at some point. Was it with John going to pick up his parents? Maybe, where she's. Or no, maybe she was with the mother, because she says, the daughter says, Joey says, he's this important person, and when I marry him, I'll be important too. Which is a weird thing for someone who's that
That was another thing. She still had that sort of
Like I'm almost
subservient wife,
thing in her head because
Yeah.
it's like, so you have like all this kind of
independence,
independence
and
and
go-getterness,
strength,
and it's all directed
yet-
at
yeah.
I'm gonna be the best wife ever.
ever, right?
And because he's great, I'll be great.
Great, right? Like she doesn't even have value.
Yeah, that was weird. That's definitely a sign of the times.
For sure, for sure. I like little things like that stuck out for me. Yes, I agree. The Isabel Sanford speech where she's that was
Yeah.
rough. I felt bad for Sidney Poitier there. The journey of the Chris character, the Katharine Hepburn character, is lovely because
Yeah.
you see her
She's shocked at first, but she comes around because she realizes this is
her
this is
daughter's happiness.
happiness.
And I think that scene where she's watching them on the patio, and I think I turned to you at one point, and it's like her eyes are constantly full of tears. They never come down, but it just looks like she's always.
They do at the end.
They do at the end, yes,
when
when
he gives
when
that
Matt
speech.
gives that speech. But throughout the movie, it's like she's got this veil of tears in her eyes, and it's like
They're just sort of sitting on her bottom lid.
yes, and it was just that too to me, like to be that in character, you know what I mean? Like just really phenomenal. You forget, like it's funny. I think last weekend TCM did like a whole Katharine Hepburn thing, and you forget like what an amazing stellar actress she was, and just the huge catalog of movies this woman has left behind that we can all enjoy. I cannot say enough about this movie. Again, William Rose, amazing script. Just sharp, on point, 50 plus years later, and it still resonates. Everything about this movie, these conversations could have been had a week ago, today, next week. Absolutely stunning. And that to me is like such a mark of a great movie because, and I always say this about like story, and if you don't have a good script, you don't have a good story, you don't have a good story, you don't have a good movie. This is not that. This is probably, I would put it in my top 50 movies of all times. I think the subject matter, the acting, the script, the direction, the costuming on this thing is unreal too. Just beautiful. The set designs, locations, the house is impeccable. Like I totally believe that this newspaper guy and his art gallery wife live here and whatnot. So I am going to give this movie a 9.
I'll give it an 8.
I'll give it an 8.5.
8.5. What about you, Olive J?
6.
A 6. Still over, better than average. If you haven't seen it, please, I implore you to look up Guess Who's Coming to Dinner from 1967. It sounds like it's from a long time ago, but again, the story still resonates. The acting is phenomenal. Just a lovely, lovely film journey for anyone to be a part of. If you've seen it before, catch it again. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and seek out this little gem. You won't be disappointed. And that's it from us, and we will bid you all a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.